All right, JHK here for the AllStar, and joining me right now is UFC bantamweight Adrian Yanez. Adrian, man, you've been fighting back to back to back to back. I think you like that. How does it feel to be able to get these fights? Because I've been hearing from other fighters that, man, it's hard to get matched up.
Man, I've been extremely blessed just to be able to get matchups and everything. I think it's also another add-on that like I'm getting these extra fights is because I've been putting on exciting fights too. So I think it's like easier whenever people are like producing knockouts or exciting fights where they want to put you back on. So they just want you to keep on fighting. So yeah, no, I've been blessed to be able to be on more cards than a lot of people, but I think it's also the performances that I've been putting on. So it's a mixture. It's a mixture of a couple things, but also again, like dude, it's just so cool that they're putting me on cards because they believe in me too.
Exactly, and also the division is not like it's a shallow division. The division is completely filled with sharks, and you're swimming in there, so it's all good, man. But before we get into your last performance, I wanted to congratulate you on your first child. It's on the way. How does it change things for you as an adult?
Man, it changes a lot. Honestly, like I've had to do a lot of growing up to do it just as like just as a human being and everything because you like kind of walking around there's someone that you have to take care of now, so it adds that little extra motivation and everything, so it's pretty cool. But at the same time I still had the same motivation to fight, still had the same motivation for a lot of these things, but it's just a big plus that now that with what I'm like doing and following and chasing my dreams and setting a really good example already for whenever the baby's on the way. So like the baby's here and it has gonna have a great example. It's like, man, like I followed my dreams and this is what I was able to do. I was able to get to this far. I was able to accomplish a lot of stuff. So it's like I'm already setting good examples for my kids. Like, hey, like if you really want to do something, you can go out there and do it. So it's cool. It's super cool. And then just being able to be like how my dad was with me. I think that's also a really cool thing because I really looked up to my dad and I really like he was like a big role model for me. So if if I can like it also kind of makes me be like, man, I get to be that to my son. So like that's pretty cool.
It is cool, man. And yeah, man, there's always positive effects of having a child. Now, the last fight, man, Randy Costa, you took some heavy shots in that first round. A lot of people are like, what the hell is going on? But you actually told me what was going to happen in that fight ahead of the fight. You said the first round is going to be tough, and then the second round, I'm going to get the finish. And what you did was you went into the second, made the adjustments, and you got the finish. You called it. What were the changes, though, when you stepped into the second round to get you that finish?
I just knew that something was different. I just knew I hit him with a couple body shots in that round, in that first round, and I could see the slowing of the pace, and I could see whenever I took the step forward, he was timid on the back foot. So I was like, oh, I need like because I thought I was going to be able to counter him all day, but he was doing such a good job of getting into range and also getting out of range. And like he was used and he did something I didn't expect for him to do. I didn't think he had a jab because especially in his last couple fights, he didn't throw not one jab. He was going straight for knockouts, going straight for cross hooks, head kicks, and everything. So just adding that other wrinkle to his game, it was just kind of it threw me off for a second. So I was like, I didn't expect him to throw this at all, and I was just like the whole entire training camp. It was just kind of just like, all right, he's gonna throw a right hand, I'm gonna cover, I'm gonna move around. He's gonna throw the kicks, I'm gonna block the kick, I will come back, and he threw me off with that jab. So it was just like oh, I didn't really train this. This wasn't really like something I was drilling into my head, but it's something that I've worked on repeatedly in the past. So I was able to make the right adjustments. And then once I started pushing forward, taking those steps forward, I noticed that he was very uncomfortable and then starting to feel the pressure. I like in the fight, I felt that he was starting to hit a wall, and I was like, okay, this is where I turn it up now, and that's exactly what I did. Like I can go, like I fought 5 rounds before, like I fought 5 rounds before, so I know 3 rounds to me isn't anything. So whenever I started pushing that pace, I was like, oh, I can keep this up all day, and I was able to break him before it got even worse.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I don't want to say they exposed anything, but they kind of opened up a concern for you. And then now you get to take that off a win, not off a loss, off a win, and make those adjustments. So when you get into that, into your next fight, when you level up in competition, that's not a concern for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been working I've been working consistently on it. I've been working on a lot of things, man. Especially I got a new couple training partners and everything. I got places where I can go now, and then I also got like different styles and varieties of bodies that I get to go with now, and it's pretty cool. It's really, 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 really cool. I got like, man, like, especially after that fight, I was just like, I was working jab defense the whole entire time. I got back to because I kind of had gotten flat-footed a little bit, and now I'm a little bit more on my toes, moving around a little bit more. So it's like I'm glad I was able to do it off a win. But even then, I always like to go back, even in my wins, and just looking at see the mistakes that I could have done to be more dominant. So I'm always looking to improve at any at any facet, whether a win or a loss.
Definitely. And after that fight, a photo came out of you and Aljamain Sterling training. When you look back at that, and all the controversy it caused, it just kind of shows you how the power of perception can fool people, and the internet, they can go wild with something like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. It was super crazy, crazy in that sense because man, like that, like it wasn't hard sparring, it wasn't crazy sparring like everybody thinks. It's like man, we weren't trying to knock each other's heads off or anything like that. Uh, and the way that like the way the punch landed and the way that like it was photographed, it was perfectly timed photograph. I had just got done checking a kick, and he was returning off of that kick, so he was like his feet weren't even planted back, and I was throwing the punch like just a touch. And whenever I threw the punch, it was right after the check, so he wasn't even fully set. So when I threw the punch, it's gonna look bad. It's gonna look like he's getting knocked back, but like it's just a really well timed placed picture. And honestly, it was nothing. I even went back to the sparring videos and looking at it. I was like, I was trying to catch it. Like, did I really hit him hard? And I looked, and I was like, no, I didn't. I didn't. Like, I didn't hit him hard. And I was like, no, not at all. So it's just like the perception of what people think and what like people can run with. They create a narrative and then they just run with it. So it's I don't know. It gets idiotic at times because they automatically look at one picture and they like, oh man, he's doing hard sparring, he's doing this, he just put out the fight, he just did that and everything. So, hey man, he wasn't cleared by the doctors, but whenever I talked to him, he was like, no, I'm good. It's just that the doctors didn't clear me, and he's like, I'm good to train. So I was like, okay. I had talked to him before I took off, literally the day we were gonna like train. The day that I was like, because the fights were on a Saturday, and I remember because they pulled him off that day of the fight. And I remember messaging him and talking to him, be like, "Hey, bro, like, are we still on? Are we still good?" Like to make sure. And he's like, "No, the officials didn't, like the doctors didn't let me. They pulled me out." It's like I'm still good and he's ready to go. But so when I got there, I was able to get some good training in with him. But like, no, he was fine. He was fine.
A lot of that has to do with the hate of Aljamain Sterling. Like people hate him, so they want to go with anything negative they could put onto him, that they're going to do that. And you just got tied in with it, so it's something in the past. There's no one's talking about it anymore.
Oh yeah, no, I get I was getting tagged in clown emojis and all that stuff. So it's just, hey, to each his own. They like a lot of people are saying like, oh man, like I was a fan of you before your training, before you start like training with Aljamain. And I was like, yeah, you know what? But if you were a fan, you would love it either way. You just respect, like you just care for me, not the people who I'm training with or anything like that. Because man, like you're a fair weather fan. If you like jump off the wagon before anything. So it's like, hey, it doesn't bother me. If they want to jump off, they can jump off if whatever. So hey, they don't know it. They don't. They just look at something and it's like, oh, they think they know everything. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. No one else. There's a lot of them out there. How was the time in New York working with the team and being around Matt Serra and Ray Longo, two legends?
Man, it was phenomenal. I loved it. Like I had absolutely loved it. It was like it was weird because I felt like it was home away from home, especially everything that like kind of happened with my coach and everything. Going, I as soon as I got there, I went there Monday morning. I did the morning session. Ray Longo wasn't there at that time, but I went to the night session. Uh, the night session, the first person I see was Ray Longo, and he just we started talking. He was like, man, like your coach, he was such a great guy and everything. It was so cool. It's so cool to see him back in the like UFC coaching and everything. And I'm sorry. And he just pulled me off to the side and he was like, man, I just wanted to show you. I got this picture with him and everything. I'm like, that brought me back. I was like, holy crap, is this destiny? What's going on? I felt like at home as soon as I got there. So I felt everything was just falling. I felt like it was like destiny just brought everything together, and it was really cool, man. I was like, man, like even with that old man, he still has some influence over me wherever I go. So I thought that was really pretty cool. So but even just the energy of being in the gym with all those guys, man, it was really cool. A lot of high level fighters there, even like the people who are trying to make it to the UFC, high level. It was really fun. It was really cool to see like a bunch of like tens and 20 of people in a room, with that much high level. In Houston, we have high level fighters, but it's kind of a little bit scarce, but we're still trying to build up like a really uh, solid MMA community. But man, it's just different because they've been in the game for such a long time. They got like the Renzo Gracies, they got the Serras, the Longos, man. All those gyms up there like are really legit, and they've been in the game for a long time. So yeah, Houston's on the way up, but it was really cool just being able to be around the environment with a lot of like-minded people.
Definitely, definitely. And you plan on going back up there, in the future?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed the Sarah Jiu-Jitsu, and then also I really enjoyed, just being around all those guys at Law MMA. Like those guys, man. I shoot, man. Like I really loved it. Like it was great intensity. It was like everybody was like very. It was very. There's a lot of camaraderie, and I really like appreciate that. And like just people, just even just appreciating the general like training itself. It was really fun. I really do want to go back. And also, whenever I do go back to New York, I gotta go visit Rico Rodriguez. So I I felt bad I didn't get to see him that last time, but I'm gonna see him next time.
Definitely. You return, man, on November 20th against Davey Grant. This is a big opportunity. What does this opportunity mean career-wise?
Man, career wise, this is a big step up for me, especially with somebody who's been in the UFC. My first three fights. My first fight was a debuter, Victor Rodriguez. I was debuting, he was debuting. Also, he's kind of short notice, so it's like I can consider myself a UFC fighter, but I'm like I, it's not one that's kind of solidified. And then if I get Gustavo Lopez, who's like about I think he was two fights in the UFC at that time. That was my second fight in. He had a short notice fight, and then he had a fight, a dominant win over Anthony Burchek, and you know, it's cool because I knew what he brought in. What he brought going into the fight. He was a really good fighter. Because I seen him on Combates America, like making a killing over there, like making a splash over there. And then I had Randy Costa, also kind of very early in his career, like 2-0 or 2-1 at the time, and I get to fight him. It's cool because we're two up and comers, but this one kind of is a little more solidified. He's like been in the UFC for a very long time, so it's like I take this guy out. What else does that say? Like I'm like fighting a really vet, like a really good vet. He fought Cheeto Vera back when there was no Venom shorts or anything like that, no Reebok shorts. So I look at stuff like that and I'm like, yeah, no, he's been in there for a while. So uh, yeah, like it's a really big step up. And if I stop, when I stop him, actually, when I stop Davey Grant, it's just gonna solidify me as a top guy that's gonna stay there for a very long time.
Yeah, I look at it as like the truest test of your skills at this moment is this fight against Davey Grant. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's a solid fighter. He's a really really solid fighter. Like I said, there's like there was that little bit of a test with Randy Costa, but we're two both up and comers. Someone was gonna take the lead on that one, and you kind of got to see it. And like all of my fights before, they were just kind of like I don't want to say like tune-up fights, but they were kind of like tune-up fights. This one is an actual like a UFC fighter who's been in there for a while. So, no knock to against like any of my competition before, but is this one's like a solidified UFC guy who's been there for a while. He was on the Ultimate Fighter and all that stuff. So it's like he's been through the ringer. So I've got a true test in front of me.
You mentioned earlier that you had some new training partners and some other locations that you've been working at. Where are these locations? Who are these people?
Like I just going to New York and all that stuff, and then also being able to come back. And I got Raufeon Stots, who's been a great addition to the team. We've had Matt Snell come in and work with us on grappling days and all that stuff. So it's been pretty cool getting a couple new looks and everything. So it's been really cool. Been really blessed and getting a couple new guys from the Houston MMA scene coming to the gym. So it's been good. It's been fun. You know, just being able to pick at each other's brains and everything. The guy who's been the most consistent in training with us is Raufeon Stots, and me showing him some striking, he's showing me some wrestling. So I think it's a really good trade off for us, you know, because I've only seen him get better, and I really can't wait till he fights next because. Yeah, he really deserves a shot at the top guy, and he really deserves a shot at the title. If I'm being honest, but we've like we've been having a lot of training sessions together, and we've only gotten better. You know, I don't think anybody's gonna be taking me down anytime soon, and I think he's gonna produce a knockout here pretty soon. So we've been working a lot with each other, and it's only been beneficial.
Yeah, it's great to see. And Rafael Styles, he's a completely stylistic different from you. Matt Schnell, he's more of a submission guy. Wrestler, man, you're bringing in the guys that you need. You know, what I mean, because everybody's gonna look at you and say, "Oh, this guy's a striker," but man, you've been working in the lab on everything.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing because I know that's what people are gonna want to do. Like I know people are gonna want to try to take me down. I know people are gonna want to take me down and submit me and everything. So I I know what the perception of this fight is. You know, I was able to work with Aljamain Sterling and kind of see where like even if it was for a week, I was able to see like where I needed work at. It was like small little it was small little mistakes that costed big, especially with those guys in the top 10, top five, and all that. You can't make those little mistakes because it'll cost you big. And being able to get another guy who's super high level at wrestling, super high level at grappling, like Raufeon Stots, you know, being able to have him, you know, being able to close those gaps for my side on the grappling and being able to close his gaps on his side in the striking, you know, it's great. It's been like a really good working relationship. And then also too with Matt Schnell coming in, being able to work with another grappler, uh, guy who's gonna search for submissions at any moment. You know, it's pretty cool. I love it. Like it's been great. It's been great work. And also my training partners like Leah Mana, you know, another great striker. And my training partner Cameron Smotherman, who's turning into somebody of his own. Man, he's getting better. He's only been in the game for maybe 2.5 to 3 years, and he's gotten a lot better than a lot of pros that I've seen, you know. So I can't wait to see what he does. And Jacob Silva consistently always coming forward, trying to knock my head off. So I got a lot of good training partners to work
Yeah,
with.
yeah, you got some monsters, man. And how much do you think the experience of the Randy Costa fight is going to benefit you against Grant?
Well, he's gonna know that I'm not gonna go away. That's the biggest thing. If you've seen anybody who's gotten touched by a Randy Costa, uh, a punch or a kick, you know they usually don't stand. They're usually on the floor. You know, even Brandon Davis got rocked on one of Randy Costa's punches and everything. So, like me, I'm just not gonna go away. It didn't really even phase me. I know I don't want to take those punishment shots, but if I have to, I can. I got a couple plates in my jaw, you know, so I got like I got still jaw, so I'm good to go. But you know, it's a good experience, and I know that I can dig deep whenever I need to. I don't want to dig deep, but if I have to, it's there for me all day, every day.
For sure. So how do you envision this fight?
I see it going in a second round knockout, late second round knockout, or early third round knockout.
All right. Now, you got a lot of heavy hitters, right, in that bantamweight division. You got guys like Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar, Dominic Cruz, former champions in different divisions. They're all ranked at 135. You win this fight, the UFC tosses those names at you. Who do you pick first?
The guy that I would probably pick first. That's a hard one because all those three guys are my dream matchups because I have such the utmost respect for all three of them. You know, like kind of like I pay a little bit of homage to Jose Aldo because I kind of start the fights off like him. You know, my arms swinging side to side a little bit. You know, before I start like that, I stole that from him. You know, like I had looked up to that guy since his WEC days. So like it would be really cool to get that fight. but also like just the admiration that I have for like someone like Frankie Edgar, who won the belt at 155, fought at 45, contested for the belt, and now like being competitive with these guys at 135. You know, to me, it's like that's also a great matchup too. And also, if it wasn't for someone like Dominic Cruz, the UFC wouldn't have had a 135 division. So, man, like those are all great fights. So it's hard for me when you tell me to choose. I'm just like, man, all those guys are great fights. But probably out of admiration, it probably had to be Jose Aldo because man, like I said, I stole that move from him. I'm just swinging my arms, like looking across the cage, just like he does, man. So it'd be cool. It would be almost like the Izzy Adesanya versus Anderson Silva to me, man. That would be my moment.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly that. Because now that you mention it, you do swing your arms like Jose Aldo in the beginning of the fights. I didn't even realize that. But yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Um,
I stole exactly from him.
yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, anyways, November 20th, UFC Fight Night, Las Vegas. Adrian, appreciate the time, man. Get this win. Enjoy your time during the holidays. Baby's coming, man. I'm so happy for you.
Man, thank you so much, man. I'm super excited. I'm ready to go in there and fight. Then after that, you got Thanksgiving, and after that, you got Christmas. Well, after that, the baby's here, and then you got Christmas, man. Yeah, I'm loving life right now.